Okay, yeah. Okay, so we just started recording. Okay.
Okay, so let's do synopsis.
Okay.
So
So
let's repeat what has been just said. Go ahead, Raquel, just because it's an important point.
Yes.
so basically, as I'm looking for research, I'm finding that a lot of the articles within my topic are not from the United States. And I wonder if this is going to be problematic when I start my dissertation. Because as we had talked about, different countries have different regulations to doing their policies and procedures for experimentation and whatnot. And so IOD says, go ahead.
What I've said is that it cannot be problematic, just the opposite. It could be supportive issue concerning the need or the gap, which most students are suffering from. I have seen so many students that say, how can I get 5 articles that state the need for my further, like for a further study on my topic? How can I satisfy, how can I convince the committee, how can I convince the chair that there is a real need to do my study? And for this issue, I mean, concerning my dissertation, most of, not all of the studies that were done in my topic were done in a country other than the United States. 3 of the articles that state that justified the needed gap, the gap were done in Iran. 1 was done in Pakistan, and 2 more were done in Japan. So no article was done in the United States. When I went to the second residency, my residency instructor told me, well, GCU policy said that you should have these articles from an American setting. These articles should have been done in America, not in another country. And I was about to change my topic because actually I couldn't find such an article. I couldn't find, there was not much that was done concerning this topic in America. And then I said to myself, concerning you guys, I just consulted you, but then when I got my chair, she told me, actually, this is a good point to start from. You can just list these articles, list these studies, and then you say, hey, therefore, there is a need to do this topic because there is little, or she said, don't say there is no study. Say there is little that was done in an American setting, and that's why I'm going to do it in an American setting just to see if the results are different or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my argument was just a little bit different, which is just reveal it. Find out what you can find out in the U.S. and understand, reveal it in your findings in the literature review that you could find these other things in different geographic areas. In this geographic area it says this, and just this geographic area it says that, and how does, and then you have to put everything together and say it could affect it in this certain way as an outcome of it. But keep in mind too that different geographic areas have different qualifications for what a study needs to come up with. So you just have to be really, really careful that when you do take a research from the Middle East, India, or even South American countries, that they do have different standards, different ideas, and then also where they get their information from can also be very different. They're socially driven. They have more freedom in their cultures to be able to take information from a variety of different places and put it into their articles rather than empirical research. So you just have to make sure that you understand the differences between how they do their research and how you do your research to a certain degree. It's still valid, and what we're finding out is because they're coming up into the first world type of standing in those countries, they want to be more competitive with Western universities. So they're stepping into those roles. But we still have to be careful about putting it in perspective. Yeah. So yes, use them. I'm using articles from different countries, different geographic areas, if it's really well into my study, and I'm using it very sparingly, but I am still using them because they're very valid studies. And the one thing that you are going to also notice too is you're going to have a hard time coming up with DOIs for those foreign studies. So just be careful of that. And you still use them, but you do the best you can with trying to find a DOI that is attached to each one of those articles. So,
but Angela, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I guess this is another thing that I found out is it doesn't matter where the article was conducted. It could be done in Iran, could be done in Iraq, could be done wherever it is. But what matters is where it has been published. Has it been published in a well reputed journal? Has it been peer reviewed? I guess this is what matters, because this is these are the standards that our chair, the AQR committee would depend on. Has this article been published in a well reputed journal? Is that okay? Because even though an article was done in a very primitive country, but it has met the requirements of such article or such journal, which is well reputed, which is well known for its validity. So then, therefore, this article should be valid. I guess this is my own point of view. I might be mistaken, but this is what I've understood from the chat.
Now, what this does for me is looking at this from like a meta perspective, is seeing which countries are focusing their research on what topics, because particularly in my area of topic, America isn't hitting this hard. But if you switch it over and look at a different topic, there is research from 2016 that's out there where, 2015, 2014, for the past 3 years, they've been hitting it hard on this research in this one area or topic. But in my research area, they're not in America. And I find this, I saw something on TV recently about how Israel is really pioneering studies on medicinal marijuana, and they are the leading country for that. And it's kind of crazy how it's like, okay, so you look at it and you say, oh, this is how different countries are spending their money and what they're researching their stuff on. Or maybe this is like the booming topic in that area. So perhaps right now we're just not studying my topic because we're not having the funding to go there, or we're not.
Or people are keeping their studies for their own private consumption. I think that's what we're battling here too, is that people, if you go to different sites and you go, well, this doctor, right, did this study, but he never published it. So I think that's what we're battling too, is information that's being published versus information that people, like I said, are for their own private practices, their own private consumption. So because people want to get paid money, and I totally understand that. So yeah, I think that's a part of it too. But yeah, use them. And my take on Ayad, I totally agree with you, Ayad, that if it's in a well-published journal, but the thing is, the definition of a well-reviewed journal is changing because there are so many journals out there now. And it just, look for the validity, look for the empirical research, look for all of that, and take it all into account. But if you're getting the same information from this country and you're also getting it from a different country, but maybe just a little bit dynamically different, then those actually talk to each other and say, yes, in these two different geographic areas, we're coming up with about the same thing. Why aren't we doing it here in the United States? Therefore, now you have your research question. Mm-hmm. So, which is, what does it do in the United States? So yeah, I think it's perfectly valid and easy to do. Just make sure that you try to have your foundational research done in this country too. So the theoretical stuff. Yes, please. Okay, you guys, somebody else is coming in, so I'm going to put it on mute. Okay.
Okay. Has this answered your question, Raquel?
Yes, more than enough. I appreciate it in the different perspectives as well. Very, very helpful.
Okay, so one more question that I got. I'm sorry that Angela has gone because she's in that stage right now, but it's good that Tanya is here. And I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the lady who's from a phone. What's your name, please?
Anne.
Not is that Anna?
Anne,
I'm sorry, Anna. I got, because there was another student that was logging from a phone number.
Oh.
Okay, two are okay. Yes, you're right. And there's another student too that's from phone number. Anyway, So my question is, Anna, since you are here, and Tanya, I guess Raquel is not to that point yet. If the chair, I'm still, I'm still that doubtful, but if a chair has given you a 3 in a section, I got more of my section has been rated 3s by my chair. Does that mean that I don't need to change them right now? Or, I mean, are they perfect? Does that necessarily mean that they are perfect and they don't need to be changed, at least for now?
That's what my chair said, that he is grading according to the rubric. And that when we receive 3s in those areas, we don't need to do anything else to those areas. And so that's what my chair told me.
Good. So as far as you get 3, you're okay. You're on the safe side.
Yep. And then only look at it. And he also stressed looking at his comments. If there's a comment in there, address those comments. Every last one of his comments or her comments.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And just keep in mind, too, because my chair pointed this out to me, 2 is passing. You know what I'm saying? Because my chair was like, she rarely gives 3s, you know. So if you get a 2, that's fine. The biggest thing is that if they have comments, you know, if they have comments, you have to address it. If they don't have any comments, you know, you keep moving. But keep in mind, just because your chair might give you a 3, your methodologist might give you a 1.5. I mean, so 2, I got to the point I was like, okay, I'm just trying to get 2s and no comments. So, you know, don't get that hung up on, oh, you know, it's a 3. Don't get so tied around, oh, I got 3s, it's perfect. No, it doesn't work that way. So if he or she gave you a 3 and there's no comments, I will go to the next section. I wouldn't spend any more, you know, any more time on it.
Okay. Ian, is there any possibility that after being given 3, AQR should give you 0 or 1?
Yeah.
Could,
I mean, I think it's possible. I don't want to say a 0 or 1, but you know, you have to keep in mind, yeah, they look at the rubrics, for everybody looks at it differently. What AQR might be looking at it with a different lens or at a higher perspective than your committee.
Then that's a problem. That means that GCU has poor internal validity. Isn't that what it's called? We don't align our objectives with things. That's not good.
Well, there's no consistency within GCU. I mean, that's a problem.
But at least there will be not a lot to be changed. Am I correct? I mean, even if
it just really depends. I can just tell you, you know, like I had a friend of mine, and I think I explained it before, not to freak you out, but you know, my friend, her committee signed off on her proposal. Yet when they got it to AQR, they kicked it back. They didn't even look at it. You know, they said it wasn't ready for AQR level review. So, you know, I think it's unfortunate. You know, they didn't do her a good service. You know, but it happens. But I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I wouldn't start worrying about it. But just know that, don't think just because, oh, my committee approved it, I'm good to go. You know, that may not happen. That may or may not happen. Got to just be realistic. That's the only thing I can say.
So, based on what you said, it could be also that the AQR approves it, but then when it gets to a higher level of evaluation, I don't know what is after AQR. Could be like the dean, could be whatever. It could be rejected, or it could be like kicked out.
It could. I mean, but I should say it could. But you know, I would think that at AQR, remember, there's different levels of AQR. You go to AQR for your proposal, and then you go back to AQR, which is level 2. And then you go back to AQR once you complete all 5 chapters. That's level 5. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you go to AQR twice. So once you complete that AQR level 5, I mean, that's pretty much, you know, you have to defend your dissertation again, has to go through form and formatting, and then it goes to the dean. So, but I would just think that if it gets past AQR, at both of those levels, and you're good to go.
Are the AQR members the same in level 1 and level 5 or level whatever?
I've been told no, but I've seen some people that has both had the same. So once again, there's no consistency.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because I'm going through, I just got my prospectus back again. And it's like in one section, is it okay if I copy and paste to different sections? Because he's saying in one section, everything is aligned. I moved to another section, it's not. You identified your gap, and he said everything was great in one section, but another section, he says, no, you didn't identify your gap. And I thought I did by saying there's a gap in research and explaining it, but he says you didn't identify it. So if he likes it in one section, is it okay for me just to copy it and put it in another?
Even by one section to another, there is not two sections that will have the same information.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's
it is. I copy and paste, and once again, it's going to depend on what your chair, some chairs don't like, or methodologists don't like to see the same wording, but then again, I copy and pasted from section to section. Because the biggest thing, you have to be consistent with your wording. So, if you use the word gap in one section and not in the other, they may be looking for that specific word. So you have to be, consistent throughout. So I've copied and pasted. So
now I have one other question about my research questions. As he said, most of your questions are close to data collection questions. All questions need to align to study the problem. So mine's a qualitative case study. And I'm like, how? I'm using the word how. How does culture responsive teaching influence academic achievement of African American males in high performing schools? And other things, because I'm using Geneva Gay's, her definition of culture responsive teaching and framing it into questions. How does teacher cultural knowledge influence the academic achievement of African American males? How does teacher prior experience? How does teacher frame of reference? How does teacher performance styles, etc.?
How many questions do you have?
I have 5 questions.
That's too much, Tanya.
Nope.
What?
That's what when I thought it was too much, one person put more, and then he said he doesn't have a problem with 5.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Does each one, so your first research question, that's just your problem statement turned into a question, yes?
Yep.
Okay. So your second through number 2 through number 5, are those coming from your model? Does your model have multiple parts?
It's coming from, Geneva Gay has defined what culturally responsive teaching is. And so,
but is that a theory? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, she also has a theory. It comes from her theory. She also has the culture responsive theory that I'm using and focusing in there. And then so the questions, because what she defines culture responsive teaching, there are those 4 parts of it. And so I took those 4 parts and put them into questions.
Made them a research question, yeah.
Made research questions, yes. But then he's saying that these research questions are close to data collection questions. I don't understand how that they're.
What?
Wow. From the sound, he sound like he's saying that it sounds more like an interview question versus a research question.
He said, the data collect. I'm using interviews, observations, and I'm using archival data because I'm getting the students' report cards.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because from my understanding, you know, your research question is, you know, based off your problem statement and they're based off of your model. So, do you have your interview? Oh, so you just had the perspective. Have you created your interview questions yet? No?
Nope.
Or
Nope.
you haven't?
No, because
Oh.
I didn't want to create them if I didn't get this part approved yet.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't remember what section you was, what point you was at. Yeah, I'm not,
Can I hear
who's
your
saying this, your
questions
chair or
again?
your methodologist?
You want me to read them again?
Yeah.
So the overarching question is, how does culturally responsive teaching influence the academic achievement of African American males? Then you have in high performing schools. Then I put the additional questions have been developed by isolating each part of Gay's definition of CRT to better study the significance of each on academic achievement. So then the second research question goes, how does teacher cultural knowledge influence academic achievement of African American males in high performing schools? That's going to happen because I get that from my interviews. Then we have number 3, how does teacher prior experiences influence the academic achievement, blah, blah, blah. How does teacher frame of reference influence the academic achievement, blah, blah, blah. How does teaching performance styles influence the academic achievement, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, I see. We have like a little less than 4 minutes left. I can stop this one and then start another one, and we can like keep on going. We can keep on going with yours. Not Anne, sorry, Tanya. You want to do that? I'll stop and then we can hop back on.
Okay.
Okay, I'll post it on the GCU link.
Okay.
Are we gonna have the same link?
Yeah. Well, I have to post a new one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So give her like a minute.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.